What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the Burning Shores DLC for Horizon Forbidden West. Talk about if it's in trouble, if we're still getting it when we're supposed to get it. And what was so funny to me about this is I was thinking about this game last week, and last Friday, a bunch of articles from a couple different sites came out talking kind of about the state of this game. I thought, okay, it must be getting close enough that everybody's coming to this realization, right? And what is the realization? Well, they gave the date back at the Game Awards for April 19th. So we're about a month away. Like, it's really not that far at all. So I think we're all coming to the realization that it comes out in a month and they haven't shown anything except for the trailer. Now, you could say, well, Alex, it's DLC. Maybe, they're going to take a hanging back kind of approach. I wouldn't doubt it. And this is a back and forth kind of thing, right? Because I think God of War Ragnarok makes this extremely difficult to predict. If you told me, Alex from Podcast Now, this kind of thing was going to happen for Horizon, and you told me this like a year ago, or even say 7, 8, 9 months ago, I would have said, oh, the game's getting delayed. I think whenever you have a situation like this, just kind of surface level thought, the game's delayed. Because 1 month away, and yes, it's DLC, but this is like a big DLC, or at least you can imagine. If it's anything like the Frozen Wilds DLC of Horizon Zero Dawn, you're looking at a game that's at least, 5 to 10 extra hours of stuff. Now I think it would be much more, and I think Frozen Wilds was much more, right? But you got your main quest, you got side things, you got a whole new area, you got more trials to do, you got new machines to fight, right? New kind of enemy variation. It would be a sizable thing. And it already kind of made waves with it only being, and I actually agree with this, I think this is the right move for this game, but only being on PS5, right? So the base game was on both PS4, PS5, and they're dropping it to make sure that they can do this thing right for the Burning Shores. So you have all of that. So it's not a little 2-hour thing that needs a trailer and that's it. Again, like, that makes sense, but even like, look at Resident Evil. Actually, I think that's probably a good example. The one that came out this past fall, the Rose DLC itself, there was more to it than just the story element, right? There was more to that DLC, but just the DLC itself, the story, was like 4 to 5 hours long. And even that, once we got closer, we started to see more and more stuff. Now, I think they tend to wait, companies, I mean, not just Sony, they do tend to wait until you get closer and closer until you show stuff, maybe particularly for DLC just because they feel like it, or it's a smaller deal. But again, if you told me a game expansion of this size, we're a month away and we've only seen the trailer, if you told me that before God of War, I would have said, oh, it's getting pushed. But with the God of War thing, and I would even argue with like Spider-Man, this is not the same Sony as what we got, honestly, a year ago and before then, like going backwards. It's not, because that Sony would have kind of had some sort of build-up over a length of time. This Sony seemingly doesn't care, and I'm not here to say that's a good thing or a bad thing. You can judge it on your own. I'll judge it on my own, but it is what Sony's doing, right? God of War Ragnarok, they took a very different approach to marketing that game, to showing off that game. Very different than what they've ever done before, even going back to Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us Part 2, and you can go far before that as well, right? This is a different kind of era of Sony, and they hold things close to their chest, it sure seems like. So it goes back and forth, because with that being said, I actually think maybe this is fine. Maybe nothing happens to this DLC, and it does come out when it's supposed to on April 19th. I would honestly say over the next like March in general, I was gonna say like 2-3 weeks, but I think March in general, that's kind of the defining thing. I do think we should see something about this by the end of March, right? Because if you go into April 1st, you're 18, 19 days away from it coming out. That less than 3 weeks, would you show something like the first? Now, and even if you actually look at the dates of the month, April 1st and 2nd are the weekend. So then you go into, the week of April. Now you're on like the 3rd, 4th, 5th. You got Easter and all that stuff. So I don't know if you would show something. I guess you would have to, right? Maybe on like April 3rd or 4th or something like that. But you're calling it very, very close. So I think March is kind of the defining thing if you show it like next week after. And again, what I mean by showing it, just like a 10-minute thing. Like, I never ask, at least I don't think I ask for all that much. Just show me like a 10-minute gameplay, some small little walkthrough, like a developer diary kind of thing. Again, I mean, I would agree, for something like this, you don't need all that much. It's an expansion on the base game. which we've already seen the base game. We've played the base game. We've beaten the base game. This is just an expansion. But again, I mean, it's only PS5. It's a whole new area, whole new enemies. Like, there's probably some stuff you could show. Or a PlayStation blog post. I guess that would probably suffice as well if you don't want to show anything. Just have a post. I guess just reaffirm is probably where I'm at. Reaffirm the game is coming out on April 19th. And I would imagine they do it. It's just when they do it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think this game is still releasing on April 19th? Do you think it's going to get pushed? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. If you want to check out any of my other channels or our Discord server, the links are all in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.